I hereby call to order the Village of Ashwaubenon Joint Review Board for TIF number 3 and 5 on this Tuesday, March 20th. President Kardowski.
Here.
Mr. Lucius.
Here.
Pam Lundy for Bob Matthews.
Here.
Chad Weiniger.
Here.
Please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll accept action on the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented by President Kardowski, seconded by Mr. Lucius. All those under discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We move on to action of the June 13th, 2017 minutes of the Joint Review Board of TIF 3 and 5.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second to the minutes?
Second.
I have a motion made by President Kardowski, seconded by Mr. Weiniger, to approve the minutes of June 13th, 2017. Any additions, deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We move on to consideration and appointment of Joint Review Board public member. That public member presented this evening is Jerry Starch. I'm sorry.
I would move to approve Jerry Starch as the appointment.
Second.
We have a motion made by President Kardowski, seconded by Mr. Weiniger, to approve the appointment. Under discussion, Mr. Weiniger.
Thank you. Just really quickly.
Can you use your microphone, please? Just like County.
Yeah, great. Thanks. I don't know much about Jerry. Could you just briefly talk about yourself for a quick second?
If you want to come up to the microphone, Jerry.
And then the question is, you don't have any land in this area or any interests in this area that's being considered for tonight?
No, nothing that's being considered. I've been a resident of Ashwaubenon for 28 years. We reside at 2122 South Oneida Street, so kind of across the street from that area. Our kids all were raised and graduated from Ashwaubenon schools. And I also work in the village of Ashwaubenon for the Heel Shoe Store.
Oh, that's great.
Anything else?
Ashwaubenites. Good thing.
That's right.
Any further questions of the candidate? Hearing none, all those in favor of the appointment signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You are appointed. Please join us.
There you go.
At this time, we'll accept motions for the election of the chairperson of the Joint Review Board of TIF number 3 and 5. I'll accept motions at this time.
Motion to nominate the village president, Mary Kardowski, as the chairman.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor by unanimous consent signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam President, the show is yours for the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, discussion items number 7. 7A, discussion on TIF 5 boundary and project plan amendment.
So since this is our organizational meeting, it's really nothing for you to vote on, but we did provide you with the TIF 5 boundary and project plan amendment. So if you want to ask questions or go through it now, we can, but you will have to review it again at your April 3rd meeting, which will be the next meeting following village board approval. At this point, the boundary amendment and the project plan have been approved by the Ashwaubenon Community Development Authority and by the Plan Commission. The boundary amendment you'll find on, well, it's labeled as 7AA within your packet, which identifies the parcels in red are the new parcels to be added. The parcels to the north along Lombardy and Oneida are owned by Brown County, except for lot number 5. Those 1, 2, and 3 are the Rush Center and Expo Center. Lot 1 extends across the street to the Packers facility. It's all the same parcel. Lot 4 is partially Packer facility and then parking area, and then lot 5 would be Imperial. Lot 6 is Capital Credit Union, which also retained a portion of property that's in the dark shaded gray area. There's a narrow strip there. They retained that, and those parcels ultimately would be joined. So that's just kind of trying to clean up an area where future expansion may potentially happen there, and then trying to keep all the parcel within TIF as part of that. And then 7 through 13 are to the south, and those are additional areas that related to the baseball stadiums would be on parcels 10 and 11. And then 7, 8, 12, and 13 are some additional redevelopment that we think will happen as a result of the Bullfrog Stadium. So our goal is to amend the map to include these parcels in anticipation of projects that are happening. And then also in terms of the actual project plan, it's really amended to reflect additional expenses that we will have relating to the bullfrogs. And then also it really reflects what we now know in terms of development. It's happening faster than anticipated initially in our early projections, but also our values are larger than we initially anticipated, particularly with the apartments. Our initial projections in terms of TIF 5 were that apartments would be maybe $90,000 per unit. Right now, what we're seeing is those would be valued more around 120, 125,000 a unit. So it's really escalated the overall value we're seeing. And then we are seeing these apartments, 2 different projects that are multi-phase, so we're able to project a little bit more clearly into the future in terms of how that tax increment is going to come on. So I know the project plan looks a little confusing because you're only seeing the parts that are changing from the original one. So I'll just kind of highlight for you in terms of the expenditures. I've added them as improvement number 9. It's because 1 through 8 are contained in the original plan. So if it's page 12 or 7AB, back at page 17, there's 3 different page numbers on it. I know it's hard to keep track. So I don't know how in-depth you want me to go, or you want me to wait or give you some better explanation. The back of your packet in the regular page 18, or it'd be packet page 23, you'll find the projection for the cash flow of the TIF. So it would still cash flow within its normal life, but again, realize that these are just purely projections in terms of how we may expend dollars. We obviously know the history in terms of what we have expended, and we continue to update as projects come and change what we do in terms of where those expenses are. But then it's also some of our best guess in terms of how increment is developed, easier to identify with the multi-phase projects, as I mentioned, but then also just looking at vacant sites and what they could potentially hold, or what's the most likely use for those, and just trying to estimate based on use what we think a value would be.
I have no questions on this. We've gone through.
Few of you have heard this
Yes,
song and dance a couple
I've
times.
heard this
I'm
quite a
sorry.
bit.
And again, nothing you need to vote on at this point, but if you do have questions or something, even if you don't have them now, if you want to reach out to us so we can have those for you on April 3rd. But on April 3rd is the date when you really need to take action on the project plan itself.
Madam Chairwoman, quick question, and there's a lot of little loose pieces of paper, so I'm not familiar with what the original boundary was, but if you look at the I guess Lombardi and Oneida Street, you have 1, 2, 3, and then there's a vacant. I believe that's a hotel area. Was there any planned
We've not included
development?
that we have talked with those property owners. It's not something likely to redevelop in the short term. Frankly, they're making good money on it. They maintain a clean property. There are investors that are kind of somewhat silent partners in it that are really more of a controlling interest on that property, so a little bit more difficult and complicated to redevelop.
Okay. And number 1 by Armed Forces, that's a Hudson Center?
It's on both sides of Armed Forces. That's because that's one parcel. We would maybe not have included the
Okay.
training facility, but it's all part of one parcel with the arena.
Okay. I was just,
And we've included the arena. We don't anticipate really anything happening with the rest, but with the other parcels, with the Expo Center redeveloping, it gives us the opportunity. In the past, we have assisted with some road improvements or some utility work that happened in that area when the rush was done, so it gives us that opportunity. And then also, if we are able to find a private development opportunity on that site as part of its redevelopment, it would allow the village to take a part in that fashion.
okay. But there's nothing been identified there yet on
No.
that section? Okay.
And then to clarify, you said you weren't as familiar with the original parcels. The darker gray section is TIF 5, the lighter gray, assuming nobody's colorblind.
So,
It's hard to tell, but those would be the areas that are not in TIF 5. But the darker gray color is the original TIF 5
okay.
boundary.
So the dark is, the light dark is not, and then you're just adding the red
Adding the red.
and the other one. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Thank you. And then number 12 is, that's the old Green Bay packaging site?
Correct.
Okay. The next-
Number 7 is vacant. 9 is Village Hall, but that would potentially have some impact in relation to the stadium. That property line might move over a little bit. We're still in design phase, and then we also needed some connectivity to the TIF itself.
Okay.
And Nakashima's is that site on the corner of Marvell and Holmgren and not likely to redevelop, so we wanted to leave that out.
Okay. Anybody have any more discussion? Any questions?
Again, feel free to give me a call if you have any questions, if they develop. Otherwise, I think really at this point, you could just adjourn to April 3rd at 4:30.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then at that next meeting, we will both handle this amendment to the boundary and project plan, and we will review the annual expense report for that. That's now required by the state. We had a brief meeting last year, would have been like in June-ish probably.
Oh, I see.
Now we're just wrapping up those reports, so we just thought since you guys had to meet anyway, we would snap to it and get that done all at the same time.
So you're going to do all the TIFs and TIDs, I'm sorry?
We're gonna, so 3 and 5
Okay.
can be done together because they're all the same jurisdictions. TIF 4 will be done that same day, but at 4:15, I think it
Okay.
is. Because that has West Appear School District primarily.
Okay. Oh, that means I have to do more.
So it has to be a different board.
Okay. There are no more discussion on TID 5 plan here. I need a motion to adjourn because the next meeting date is April 3rd at 4:30. I believe we will be in conference room A that day because we will have voting.
Correct,
It is
yes.
election day.
That is
Yes.
correct too.
Yes. Okay, so
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.